If you haven't guessed already, this is a monster. But he doesn't like being called a monster. It kind of hurts his feelings. Even though he's orange and has big bulgy eyes and long tongue sticking out of his mouth, he still has his feelings hurt when he's called a monster. And that's the subject of my next story. It is about a monster who doesn't like being called monster. The title is Quit Calling Me a Monster. And it is by Jory John and Bob Shea. Ooh, there he is on his bicycle riding along. And the children on the school bus, they look out their window and see him and they start screaming because he's a monster. Quit calling me a monster. Just stop it right this minute. I'm being totally and completely serious here. It really hurts my feelings. I'm no monster. Just because I have horns and wild eyes and clumpy feet and long toenails and crazy hair and fangs, just because I have a huge toothy smile that glows in the dark, just because I roar and scream and whoop and cackle and howl at the moon and howl at the sun, just because I hide under the bed or at the back of the closet or behind the shower curtain or in the glove compartment. It really bothers me when you call me a monster without even thinking about it. There goes a monster! You exclaim when I pass by. Mommy, save me from that monster! You holler when I'm just trying to get some groceries. I think there is a monster under my bed. You scream when I'm just trying to sleep. Okay, so maybe I let my claw slip out. And maybe I growl in my sleep. But it's not my fault. You should see you when you sleep. Blah, 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 blah. Kid's a real noisy sleeper. It's all so very annoying. It's not like I ever call you names, do I? I could easily be like, look at that little meat sack over there. Or, there goes the kid I'm going to chomp on. Roar. But I don't. I don't say anything because I have good manners. You could really learn something from me. Yep, I'm a monster with excellent manners. Uh-oh. I didn't mean monster exactly. I'm not a, oh. Okay. Technically, I'm a monster. After all, I have horns and fangs and wild eyes and crazy hair and clumpy feet and long toenails and a huge toothy smile that glows in the dark. And my parents are monsters. It's all kind of obvious, I guess. Still, I really don't like being called a monster one bit. How would you like it? You wouldn't, that's how. So quit calling me a monster, everyone. My name is Floyd Peterson. Please call me Floyd Peterson from now on, and I won't roar at you like this. Roar. Or this. Growl. Or this. Growl. That's the roar of Floyd Peterson. Not bad, right? Now, I'm going to bed. Try not to wake me when you clomp into the room with your big silly feet. No offense.
Daddy, I think there's a monster in my closet.
No, son. It's just Floyd Peterson.
Oh, okay. Good night.
Much better. And that's quit calling me a monster. So we'll call him Floyd Peterson from now on, okay? Yeah. Our next story is about a very unusual dog. His name is Floaty, and you'll see soon enough why. Floaty by John Himmelman. Mr. Raisin lived alone in a little house. Inside that little house, he loved to sew. Mr. Raisin didn't like anything else, only sewing. One morning, he found a basket at his front door. It had a note attached that read, "All yours. Too much trouble. Good luck." What could be in that basket? Mr. Raisin brought the basket inside. "Blah," he said. It was empty. But look. "Woof," said something from above. Mr. Raisin looked up. Whiff! A puppy was stuck to the ceiling. A puppy just floated out of that basket. "Get down from there!" shouted Mr. Raisin. He nudged the dog with his broom. The dog slid across the ceiling and into the other room. Mr. Raisin climbed onto a chair and grabbed the dog. "Outside with you," he said. He opened the door. He was about to let the dog go, but he stopped. "You float away, won't you?" Mr. Raisin brought the dog inside. "This doesn't mean you're staying," he said to the dog. "But I guess dogs need to eat, even annoying ceiling dogs." He put a bowl of cornflakes on the floor. "Woof," said the dog from the ceiling. "Oh, you can't come down." Mr. Raisin tossed the cornflakes one at a time into the air. "You probably need water too," he said. The dog floated to the front door. "Woof," he barked. "Blah," complained Mr. Raisin. "I have to take you for a walk too." And I like how he's giving the dog water with the hose. "Funny balloon," said Agnes Withers. "Not a balloon, a dog," barked Mr. Raisin. "Your kite needs a longer tail," said Mr. Pooh. "Not a kite, a dog," grunted Mr. Raisin. "There goes nutty Mr. Raisin," said Mrs. Stringle. "Blah," said Mr. Raisin. And look, his dog does look like a balloon. He went back inside. Mr. Raisin wasn't used to having company, but the dog stayed out of his way most of the time. At night, he was a terrible blanket hog. And look at him floating to the ceiling with the blanket. But as time went by, Mr. Raisin thought less and less about getting rid of the dog. "I guess you will need a name," he said. "I will call you, Floaty." Mr. Raisin chuckled at the silly name. He hardly ever chuckled. And one morning, when they were out for a walk, the leash snapped. Floaty floated away. As Floaty disappeared into the clouds, Mr. Raisin realized how much he loved his dog. Can you see him floating away way over there? Floaty floated for days and nights. Back at home, Mr. Raisin set up balloons carrying food in case his dog floated by. The food never found Floaty, but he didn't go hungry. Can you see him eating the pizza out of the box? Mr. Raisin moved to his roof. He searched the skies day and night for his little dog. Floaty floated farther and farther away. And look, even the birds are resting on him. Mr. Raisin climbed down from his roof. Floaty dreamed about home. Mr. Raisin sat in his chair and he sewed. And one night, a big storm came along. Lightning and thunder exploded all around the dog. He looks very frightened. Just then, a voice called from overhead, "Up here, Floaty!" Mr. Raisin lowered his freshly sewn hot air balloon and scooped up his dog. So that's what he was sewing, a hot air balloon. "Blah," he said. "You're not too much trouble. You're just the right amount of trouble. Blah." And that's Floaty. I think Mr. Raisin really fell in love with that dog, don't you? He is kind of cute. My next story is all about marshmallows. How many of you like marshmallows out there? I do. I love marshmallows, especially in s'mores. And I'll eat any kind of marshmallows, any which way. I even like them when they get a little hard. I love them that way. But this story's called Most Marshmallows. And we'll learn a little bit about the secret lives of marshmallows. Most Marshmallows by Rowboat Watkins. I like that name, Rowboat. Most marshmallows don't grow on trees or come from stalks or even Mars. Most marshmallows are mostly born to one sweet parent or two. And they live in homes of one kind and another. They celebrate birthdays, they watch TV, they go to school most mornings, and they learn to be squishy. I guess that's important for a marshmallow. And they learn how to stand in rows. and why they can't breathe fire. Fire is only for dragons. Most marshmallows eat dinner together and fall asleep most nights. To dream about nothing. But some marshmallows somehow secretly know that all marshmallows can do anything. Look at them, they're hot air ballooning, they're climbing mountains, they're parachuting. They really can do anything. Or they can be anything. They dare to imagine. So, roar! And that marshmallow is breathing fire. He just scared that dragon away. And that's most marshmallows. And the interesting thing that I found out about this book is that all the pictures are done with actual marshmallows. So come to the library, check it out, and take a closer look. And when you read the book, have a bowl of marshmallows nearby. Our next story is also about a dog. It is called Here, George. Story is by Sandra Boynton. Pictures are by George Booth. This is George. He likes to sit. Here, George, says a lady's voice. George doesn't want to move. Here, George, says a man's voice. George doesn't want to move. Come on, boy, says a child's voice. George does not want to move. That's okay, says the lady's voice. George must be tired. We will go for a ride without him. So the man and the lady and the child drive away. George is feeling a little glum. He lies down. He closes his eyes. Outside, some wild music begins to play. George opens his eyes. He likes music. Now, George is sitting. Now, George is standing. Now, George is dancing. And dancing and dancing. Boy, George has some pretty good moves there. Who knew he had it in him? Until he can no longer dance, and plop, he lands flat on the ground. George hears the car door slam. Slam, slam, slam. He sits up and wags his tail. We're home, George, says the lady's voice. George does not move except his happy tail. We're home, George, says the man's voice. George does not move except his happy tail. Come here, you sweet puppy, says the child's voice. George does not move. Well, can I take that one again? Come here, you sweet puppy dog, says the child's voice. George does not move, except for his happy tail. Can you see that tail wagging? Yes, this is George. He likes to sit. He likes to sleep. He loves his family. And he is wild about dancing, which no one knows but you. These were just a few of the wonderful new books that the library is always receiving. So if you'd like to check these out, or some of the wonderful other books that we have on our shelves, please join us at the Fall River Public Library. Or if you'd like to hear some of these shared in story time, visit the library's Tuesday Story Hour every Tuesday at 10:30 here at the main library on 104 North Main Street. We'll share a good story with you.